Okay, hey everybody. So I got a question about creating a button for an interactive ad for the forms that you're doing. So I just wanted to go through how you would make a button. So to do that, I have InDesign open and I'm going to I'm going to go to more presets and I'm going to act as if I'm designing for an iPhone 8. And now I have all these possibilities. I'm going to call this button tutorial and I have all these presets over here. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that everything is the way I want it. For now, because we're doing something very simple, I'm just going to take all the presets. So I'm going to click Create, and it's going to open up a document. The reason I chose iPhone 8 is because I happen to have an iPhone 8. So now I want to make a button, and I want to make it work. Well, there are a couple of ways to make a button. First of all, notice up here I'm in digital publishing. You can also be in interactive PDF. Interactive PDF, though, may not have all the things you're looking for, so you may need to make some adjustments here. So I'm going to go back to digital publishing, and you see you have something called buttons and forms on the side here. It looks like 3 lines with a hand on it, and that says buttons and forms. If you click in here, one way you could do is sample buttons and forms. And you can go through here and find a button style that you like and just drag it onto your image. Of course, you can resize it to however you want, size and shape. So if I do that, that's one of the simpler ways to get a nice three-dimensional looking button. And now I'm going to click on my type tool, click inside there, and I'm just going to make this a button that will take me to the school's website. So I'm going to type in SNHU. Alright, and I'm going to go Command A. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, you want to go Control A. What that does is selects everything. I am also going to make it larger. So by default, my computer chooses Minion Pro. I'm going to bring this up to about 48, maybe even a little bigger. Let's go to 60, and I'm going to choose a bolder font. So I got a few of them here that are pretty bold. Let's use marker felt. It's kind of an interesting one. And I want to center it. And then to center it vertically, I'm going to go Command B and center and click OK. So now when I click on my select button and I come off that, you can see that I have a button that says SNHU on it. Now that green is a little light, so I might want to double click in there and choose a different color. For my text, I want to have good contrast. So let's go back to black and see if that looks better. Typically we don't always use blacks, but that's actually more readable. Certainly want my client to be able to see it. So now these are my appearances. So when I roll over, notice that the word SNHU goes away. So I'm going to have to actually type in there again. So now if I click back, get back to my select tool, click back, now I have, this is what it looks like normal. Roll over, it hasn't changed yet. Primarily because I haven't messed with my color here yet. I find it easiest to do it from here because it gives me, if I click the foreground color, it gives me a wider range of options. So let's say I wanted to make it a little bit more yellowy green when I roll over it. So now that's my rollover color. You see how different that is? I'm starting to get that rollover effect. And this isn't giving any effect on click. I can add an effect on click by turning it on. Click is bringing it back to the original color, so maybe I want to go to something darker. So let's do that, and maybe we'll go towards more of the blue-greens for click. So now, when I roll over it, you'll see that it's going to go through all those stages. So that's really all you need to do. I got to give this a target of where to go. So what do I want it to do when it clicks on the button is I want it to go to the school's page, so I'm going to add an action. I'm going to go to URL, and I'm going to call it, let's call this SNHU button, just to give it a name. Go to URL, and here's where I would put in the URL, so snhu.edu. And if I wanted to go to a particular page, I'd put a more specific selection. So now, when I export it, Command E on my Mac or Control E. Again, I'm making sure I have an Adobe Interactive, and I'm going to click Save. Okay, so it actually did work when I exported it, even though I got an error message saying it wasn't going to support the interactivity. Here's my hover over. When I click on it, it gets the darker blue, and when I release, it's bringing me to SNHU snshu.edu. So it's bringing me to the home page of the school. So that's how you make an interactive button. You can have it, instead of going to a URL, you can set it up to go to a particular page in your document. You can do an email to. So you're essentially, I'm going to bring this forward. Essentially, you're going to be using the buttons and forms page, and you're going to, once you have your button, I'll select it here, you get all this information. If you click on these, you have all the different actions that you can take. So this is how basically you're working. So submit form, and then you would set up the submit. So if I click to submit form there instead, then it would give me the URL to submit it to. So I would have to know what that is. All right, so those are your options. You can also, if you wanted to, start out with a basic shape. So I can come to my shapes tool. I can make a similar shape to that. Can I give it a color? Let's do something red this time. If we wanted to, we can get more complicated there, but for now I just want to make that into a very simple button. I'm just going to do the same thing. Let's do something a little different. I'm going to put this to Google. So I'm just going to say Google. And I'm going to go Command A. And we're going to center it, and we're going to make it larger. Again, let's go to 60 again. And I don't mind Minion Pro for that one. Against the red, I'm probably going to be okay with the white, so let's go with the white color. And again, I want to go Command B, and we want to center it, align center. Okay, that is a little thin. So for Minion Pro, there is a bold option, and that would work for Google. Now to turn this into a button, I would select this, and then go again to the Buttons and Forms tool. And I can give it what type of a thing am I putting. It's a button. I'm going to call this one Google 1 or something. Let's go Google 1. And again, we're going to, this time, it didn't put any particular go-to page or anything like that. I'm going to do URL, and I'm going to go www.google.com. And again, I could add the rollover. So for the rollover, let's go make that color lighter again. We'll go to the orange for that, and for the on-click we'll go darker, just so that we can see the contrast of what's going on here. All right, when we're clicking, we're not clicking for that long. And I'm going to now, again, file export and save it. I'm going to go tutorial 2 so I don't mess up the first one. Save it as an interactive. Export, and now I have a second button here. So if I hover over it, it goes from the red to the orange, and when I click, it goes to that more brown color. And I'm going to take a look and see what I did with that. Let's go into URL google.com. Let's export that again. File export and save. It's going to ask me if I want to replace it. Export. It's on release or tap. It should be on click. That was my mistake there. So I'm going to file export it again. And export. There it goes. So now we have two different styles of buttons. One that's pre-generated. If I wanted to, I could make this look more like that button by giving it rounded corners and adding a gradient to it, maybe even a drop shadow under it or something. I can definitely increase the three-dimensional look, but this is a basic button that functions, and this is also just gives you two different looks. All right, so if you have any questions or need any help, please get in touch with me. Thank you. Have a great day.